Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for watching today. So we're currently headed out to a guy's house. He called me yesterday, and he said he has a 2020 Dodge Durango, and it's been leaking coolant. He said it's leaking pretty slowly. So I said, yeah, let's check it out. So we're currently heading, it's probably gonna take me like 45 minutes to get there. So we're gonna head over. It is another beautiful day. Check that out, 67 degrees, nice and cool. It's really foggy out today, as you guys can see. The sky is, but I actually like these days too, because it's nice and cool. It's just like, it's different. And I definitely don't mind it at all. So anyways, we're headed to the spot. I'll catch you when we get there.
Alright, so here's the Hemi. This is a 5.7 Durango, and as you can see, look at all the residue everywhere. There, all down here. And as you can see, it's dripping. And what I found is, you can see it spraying up behind the water pump pulley. Let's see if I can show you. Nope. Probably won't be able to see it, but it's coming from behind the pulley there. The pulley seal is busted, so it's going to need a new water pump. Alright, so the tank is full. Now, as you can see, there's wetness there, pink everywhere because that's the color of the coolant. You can see drips there. You can see drips there. So what I did was I warmed it up, and it's really hard to get in here with this GoPro, but when it was idling, it was spitting coolant out of here, out of this seal, and you could see it dripping. And now look at that, dripping right on his driveway, unfortunately, but you can see how it's been building up in there. But the faster you go, the more it slings everywhere. And you can see down in there where that hose is all wet. So, and then you can see down in there, right there, it's all wet. So it's definitely going to need a water pump and a thermostat for sure. And this radiator kind of makes me nervous because it's wet, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But this definitely needs to be replaced first, so I'm gonna go talk to him and see what he thinks.
So that was fairly easy to diagnose. If I have a coolant leak, I'll hook up a coolant pressure tester. If that doesn't reveal anything, I'll just look for, where the coolant's coming from. And then usually what you'll have to do is get the vehicle hot and running. And I mean, it'll reveal itself. And just like, I just said, it started spitting out pretty bad out of that pulley. So, what else could it mean? I mean, it's definitely that water pump. So, he said he wants me to look up the price and the time, and he definitely wants it done, so I'm going to work on that now, and I'll show you also how I do that.
Alright, so this is my O'Reilly's app. What I do is I type in the year, search, and then we have Hemi, RT, select, and then here you have all your categories. This is the Pro app, and then I'll click on water pump. Yeah, that's how you look up parts. And then I do have an estimator, and yeah, that's how I estimate labor.
All right, so I'm currently going to pick up the parts. So I'm going to get the water pump, which comes with the seals that go around the circumference of the back of the water pump. And then I have to go locate a water tube seal. And then I'm going to get a radiator cap and a thermostat, because when you replace radiators, when you replace water pumps, you know, that's just something that you do to cover all your bases. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I gotta go get the stuff, and then we're gonna knock it out today. I told them 3 or 4 hours, you know, because that's just what it's gonna take me. So, all right guys, when we get back to the spot, I'll show you what we got.
All right, so we finally made it back from getting parts. Let me show you guys what we got. So I got a couple gallons of some Xerox stuff for Chrysler. Got this. I did get a thermostat. This is the route he wanted to go, so that's what we are doing. I was able to get an OEM radiator cap, which I always suggest. And I got this O-ring. That's for the water pump or water pipe outlet tube. This thing was like $30 for that O-ring, but you can't find it anywhere else unless you are able to match it up perfectly. But I wasn't going to mess around with that. And let me show you what we got over here. Let me grab this too. I'm gonna set up. So I'm currently draining right now. I have a brand new oil pan, so I'm just using that to drain my coolant. The water pump assembly looks pretty nice. It's huge. The gasket that came with it. All my tools. Now, first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this belt off, and then we're going to move the thermostat housing out of the way. So let's get this belt off first, and then we'll move on to the housing. Okay, so we should have enough coolant drained, so that way when we take this off, there will be no coolant spilling out of it. So let's see. Okay. Oh, a little bit. So I did put some cardboard down, and I got my catch under there, so we should be good. But yes, we lost a little bit. That's fine. Okay. So this is out of the way here. I'll get a bungee cord, and we'll just kind of pull it off to the side. Okay, I'll put these back in the hole for now. And then this one here, if you just pull up like that, it slides out. And now we're able to completely move it out of the way, so that way we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we have more time to work, or more room to work. Okay, just gonna see what we got under here. Not bad for stock. Oh wait, what the heck is that? That's not good. Shit, look at that. I'm sure that's not supposed to be separated. I know I've never seen that before, so. Wow. I'll set this to the side. Okay, now the serpentine belt needs to come off. So what we need to do is, there's a 3/8 hole right there. So just gonna take it, and we're gonna push. We're gonna pull towards the driver's side. And one thing I always like to do before taking the belt off is actually take a picture of the diagram, or take a picture of the routing, so that way when you go to put it back, you can just look at your picture, unless you have done these so many times that you remember. All right, now that I got my picture, we'll pop it off. Most of the time I don't even take it all the way off unless I absolutely have to, but we shall see. Sometimes I just change my mind halfway through, so yeah, I think well, yeah, I'm gonna have to pop most of it. Actually, I'm just gonna pull it out just like that. Okay, so that's there, and now I'm gonna unplug this here and pop that sensor out. That's the coolant temp sensor right there. Next, what can we do next? So what I'll probably do is leave the pulleys on and take the assembly off, and then remove the pulleys when it's off, if it allows me to do that. So we do have a 10 here for this coolant pipe, so I think I should pop that off now. So, and this is where the gasket is that I told you about, or the O-ring, the little O-ring I got. That's what it goes on right there. So, and then I've got my little pry bar, and I'm just gonna kind of pry up, and then as you can see, she's kind of coming out of there, so that's very good news right there. Oh, well, nice. Just like that. We'll leave it just like that for now. Okay, I'm gonna put that bolt back in its hole. It seems like almost every vehicle I've been to so far has had some sort of cooling issue, so that cooling pressure sensor, or that cooling pressure tester kit that I bought is amazing. I'm really glad that I bought that, because it's already paid for itself. So most of these are 13s, so I'm gonna start popping these loose. That's loose. I'm gonna get a ratcheting wrench for this one here. Well, the only ratcheting wrench that I don't have is a 13mm with me, so I'm just gonna pop that nut loose right there, so that way we can get this bracket off. And as you can see, we have another nut behind there, so I'm just gonna set these off to the side safely. And now let's see, so pop that loose, pop that loose. These are 16s, so I will pop those loose there, pop that one loose. And then we got a couple more on the bottom. Quite a few for this one, actually. All right. Okay, just get these as loose as I can. And then we'll go back in here with the 13. Now, let's see. Oh, there's one I can get. Right there. That's loose. And then it's looking like I'm gonna have to pop this pulley loose so I can get this one, because I don't have my ratcheting wrench, unfortunately. Okay. Okay, let me get this one off here. Show you what it looks like. So just a plastic idler pulley. I'm going to set that right there. And now we've got a couple more. 13 right here that we're going to need the extension for. Right there. Okay. Now we've got another 13 right here. We got another 13 down here. This one's kind of hard to see, but once I get it off, I will show you. You'll just have to get in under the pulley to get it. I do need that Milwaukee ratchet. I definitely want to get that once I get some more money. There's one right here. We're also going to have to switch this coolant temp sensor over. Okay, one right here. There's one right here. Oops, already got that. And then I think that should be most of them, except for. So I am actually going to take this tensioner pulley off because I'm going to have to be able to get a bolt that's right behind it. So, but this is a 16. This tensioner. Okay. I'll go ahead and show it to you. That's what it looks like right there. So I'm just going to take this and set it to the side. Right there. Nice and safe. Okay. So we got one more 13 right under here. Very nice. So if I'm not mistaken, most of them are loose. So now I just got to work on getting all these bolts out. So once you get everything loose, there's a little pry spot here. You just take it and slowly pry it out. Do not force it. Do not, damage it. You just want to go nice and easy. And don't drop the bolts like me. Alright, so to make this a bit simpler, what I'm going to do is transfer all of the bolts in here, so that way I don't get them mixed up, because as you can see, there's a long one, then there's a short one, so we don't want to mix them up. So I'm just going to take them out. See how that long one right there? And I'm just going to put them right in here, so that way we don't get anything mixed up. The long one, that one fell in there, so we're not going to be able to get that. But we got two here. That's a long one. That's a long one, or short one. That's a pretty long one there. Got another one here. Right there. And that should be all of the bolts there. The last thing we have to do is unhook that radiator hose clamp, which is right there. But now that I got it moving, I think it's easier to do it when everything's loose and out of the way. And just real quick, this is the studded bolt, and it goes right here next to the plug. That's the longest bolt. All right, so I've got my big vice or channel locks. I guess I can't talk properly today. Now, I'm gonna kind of pull this like that. Wow, very nice. And now, let me see if I can get some smaller ones, just because of the space. Okay, should be able to get it now. All right, they're loose. Now I'm just gonna slide them. Now I'm just gonna slide them down on the hose like that, and now I can just pry this hose off here. Look at that. That is a huge water pump. Oops. Okay. Let me get this thing and I'll get it back in the box so that way it doesn't make a mess everywhere. Okay, now my goal is to clean up the surface. I've got some light abrasive material that I can use to finish it. But for now, I just want to get it all dry. Dry up the coolant here that you see. There's quite a bit in there. Okay. For now. And then, all right, next we need to get the new parts ready. All right, so we've got to get this coolant temp sensor out of here. That is usually a 19 or a 17 or 3/4, whatever. So a 19 went right on that, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop it out and we'll transfer it to the new one. Okay, definitely got to wear gloves when you're working with coolant, because man, that stuff is toxic. It's really bad for your skin. Okay, as you can see, it came right out, so that's good. I'm gonna get a wire wheel and just clean up the threads, and then we'll transfer it to the new one. Okay, everything's nice and clean now. Now I'm just gonna pop it in here until it's snug. You definitely don't want to go too tight on these because you can break the casing. So I'm just gonna take it. And you just go, you know, pretty snug with it. Not overly, but, and boom. And if it leaks, you can always just tighten it up a little more. But that should be more than good. Sometimes you do have to adjust it when it's actually on the block too, you know, depending on where the tab sits. So, let's see, so we're gonna leave the pulleys off, and oh, let's set the gasket in place. Put the gasket here. So it goes like that. Or maybe not. There you go, it goes like that there. Okay, so what you do is just set it in place like that. Perfect. So I just take a look at everything, make sure everything looks good, and I'd say, yeah, I'd say that looks good. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start cleaning up the block and finish that up so we can get this back on. Whenever we are ready to put this in, this will just sit nicely in there just like that. And look, that's not separated like the other one. So, geez, that's pretty bad. 0524. That's awesome. So, yep, that sits right there perfectly, just like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this O-ring here, but I am gonna be very careful because these are really expensive and really hard to get. So I'm gonna also just save it and hold on to it just in case. But as you can see, this one was orange and all the paint's coming off, so it's been on there quite a while. I'm just gonna set this to the side right over here. Alright, this just needs to be cleaned up. Make sure to clean it up really good. I may have to get a wire wheel or my wire brush and just hit it a little better, but for now it's clean. I'm not going to put it on until the water pump assembly's on because I don't want to damage it while I'm putting everything on, so I'm going to hold off on installing it until the water pump is on. Alright, so the engine block is all cleaned up. So now what we're gonna do is get this water pump set on in there. All right. Water pump. Oops, all right. So definitely want to make sure the gasket is pushed in even after you already put it in, because they do slip out. And then just be very, very careful. I've got one, so I'm starting out with 2 bolts. One is going in the very top, and one is in the very bottom, just so I can get it sat in there and lined up properly. Okay. I've now got the first 2 bolts in, and I'm just gonna lightly put that bolt on, and now I'm gonna start tightening this one up here. This is the one on the bottom. Okay. Very nice. All right, let me get the rest of the bolts in and we'll tighten them up. All right, so what I'm doing now is just transferring over all the bolts. I'm just going to do them one at a time, and you want to make sure to put them all in very loose at first. Do not tighten them, just get them threaded in, because if you tighten them, it's going to prevent other bolts from going in their proper holes. So one at a time, very slowly. There's no rush, just take your time. Okay, there's that. I got one long one here. Just gonna hand thread that in. And as you can see, that's all of them. And now we need to go in with this long one here, which goes right here. Okay, and then I'm just going to transfer these 2 over. I just try to be very methodical with what I do, so that way there's no mistakes and everything makes it to the spot where it's supposed to. Okay, we're going to get rid of that one. Now we're just going to start going around, and I'm going to probably make like 3 passes. I'm just going to get these suckers on, and like I said, do not tighten one before you tighten all the others, so do them all, tighten them all at the same strength basically, and just go around. Do one on the top, do one in the middle, do one on the bottom. So like kind of work your way in a circle, because it will go on lopsided if you don't. Okay, now that I've done my couple passes and got it to where everything is even, let me show you what I'm talking about here. As you can see, it's getting closer and closer to the block. So I'm just gonna do my final pass here. And let's see, so we got this one, we got the 16. Let's go around. Yeah, because you see when you tighten up one on one end, one of them gets loose on the other end. I'm sure, you know, a lot of you guys know that, but I'm sure a lot of people don't. So, you know, when you're tightening up something like this, do not tighten one bolt at a time. You want to do them all equally. So you want to go around, do a little bit on one, a little bit on the other, you know, just work your way in a circle, and, you know, don't forget about the middle too. But you really want to start from the middle and then work your way outwards. But we don't really have any middle bolts besides this one, so I guess that I already did this one here. Okay, we'll do one final pass all in order, and then on the final pass we'll torque it down. I'll put the torque on the screen for you guys, so that way you know the torque value. Alright, all the bolts are now officially tight. I highly encourage you, if you're doing a job like this, to double, triple, and quadruple check all of the bolts. Alright, so now let's get this O-ring on, we'll get this water outlet pipe on, and then we'll start wrapping this up. Okay, here's the new one. Here's the old one. We'll match them up. Looks like a perfect match to me. I will leave this part number in the description just in case. I know some of you are watching to learn, but I'm sure this job will come in handy for, you know, you future mobile mechanics. So, and then just need to get a little bit of oil on this O-ring so that way it'll slide right in. All right, I decided to use a little bit of motor oil, and what I'm gonna do is just pop this water tube right in that hole. Okay, now we're gonna go down with it. I'm gonna put a little bit more lube on that because I don't want to rip the O-ring. Okay, got a little more lube on there, and now I'm just gonna work on getting this sucker down there. It is kind of giving me some trouble, so there we go. All right, she's in there. Okay, now that that tube is on, I'm gonna get this lower radiator hose on to the bottom of the pump. Okay, that went on nicely, and now I just got to get this clamp in place. Okay, very nice, very nice. All right, next I'll grab the thermostat, we'll pop that in. Nice, good fit. But before we actually mount that, I want to put on these two pulleys. So we've got one right here. That was a 13. And then we got the other one, which was a 16 right here. And they do have, this one has a nipple on it, so that way it only goes on one way. Let me show you real quick. So you see that? It goes just like that. Just goes on one way. All right, let me go ahead and tighten it up. Oops, wrong size. We'll just do this one. We'll switch back and forth. Okay, just nice and snug. Test it, make sure it spins. Now we need a 16. Just nice and snug. That's all you need. And you can always check it after you run it since it's easily accessible. All right, that one's good. Just double check my other one here. Nice and snug. Okay. Now, what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna get this belt on so that way because if we put this on, then we'll have less room. So let's go ahead and get the belt on, and then we'll get that thermostat housing top on. So down. Let's see if I can remember. I doubt I can, but nope, I'm not gonna remember. I need my phone. Okay, time to pop this belt on. So I got it lined up. I never remember how the belt's going, like never. So that's just one of my fatal flaws. So, but I got the belt on. Let me go ahead and show you here. So down, 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 like that. Down, around the tensioner, around the crank pulley, around the AC pulley, and then it's good. So now let's get that thermostat housing on. Okay, now I'm gonna pull this over. I already cleaned the thermostat housing. I used my wire wheel. I cleaned it nice and good. I'll just take my paper towel and dry it one more time. Look at that. So I'll just wipe all that nastiness out, and then boom, we'll pop this on. The thermostat is seated nice and properly, as you can see. Boom, boom. That's the kind that has the gasket that goes on it, actually, or around it. Okay. And then these are 13s. I'm just gonna zap it down. I'm not gonna tighten it. Don't have a heart attack. Just get it tight. Okay. And then I'll just hand tighten it like you're supposed to. I know the rules. No cheating. All right. Nice and snug. That's all it needs. Nice and snug there. Nice and snug here. Double check. Nice and snug. Double check. Nice and snug. Okay, so that's good. Now we have this bracket here. This bracket went on like this. Okay. And that was a 16. Very nice. Okay, so this one goes here. That bolt goes on just like that. And then this goes on like that.
But first, let me just double check it. Make sure it's tight. Nice and tight. Okay. All right. Nice and tight. Okay, time to start filling. Even though I should have a funnel, I don't because I forgot it, but I think I'm pretty good at this for the most part. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead I'm gonna put at least this gallon in, and then we'll start it up, let it run for a sec, let it pull some of that coolant in, and then we'll turn it back on, run the heat on full blast, and make sure everything's good. Very nice, very nice. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll just squeeze this hose, and as you can see, it definitely helps get some of the bubbles out, because I try to, you know, before I turn it on, I definitely try to get as much in it as I can, so that way right when you start it up, you know, it's able to basically just do its thing. Okay. If we can at least get this gallon in. Very nice. Bleeding a cooling system can definitely be hard if you don't know what you're doing. But you know, once you do enough of them, it becomes second nature basically. Some are definitely harder than others, for sure. That Corvette I did, man, that thing took forever to bleed, because it has lines that run from the back all the way to the front, because the motor's in the back and then the radiators are in the front, or at least it has 2 radiators in the front, so auxiliary coolers. Okay, all right, that's good. All right, I'm just going to start it up, make sure everything's good. Okay, moment of truth. So good so far. Just gonna let it run for a second. I'm gonna keep an eye on that and steadily fill it, and then I'm going to check for leaks and then do a pressure test. Okay, let's check to see if it holds pressure and to make sure we don't have any leaks. So I'll just pump it up. See, that's really how it should pump up there. Okay, I'll do up to 15 pounds. The cap is rated for 18. Boy, that Corvette took like an hour to pump up. That thing has such a huge cooling system, it's crazy. Okay, now I'm just gonna inspect, look underneath. So, check it out. No leaks so far. Nice. Okay. Just gonna make sure this holds for a couple minutes while I clean up, and then we will fill it the rest of the way up, put on the heat, and see what it does. Okay, so it's currently been, you know, quite a few minutes, and we're still sitting nicely right at 15 pounds. So I'm gonna say we're good for now. No drips, no new leaks. That's all old stuff.
So I'm gonna pop this off, we're gonna fill it up and let it run. Okay guys, so I've been running it. I've had the heat on. The heat is blasting full hot. It's like burning me, so that's good. The temp gauge has been sitting precisely right there, so that's about, you know, halfway, I'd say. And yeah, it's been good, no leaks. I pressure tested it, you know, I double checked everything. Everything seems good, so, you know, I guess I'd say we're all done here for now. All right, so currently got to the house. Today was a pretty good day, I would say. We did that water pump on the 2020 Dodge Durango RT Hemi. So we did water pump, thermostat, we did the radiator cap, and I can't even think because it's been such a long day. But it was really good. The guy was really nice. That's why I started this business, because I like having relationships with nice people. I like meeting nice people. I like getting out in the world. I like seeing things. I like going different places. I like seeing how people live. I don't know, it's just very interesting to me, you know? I mean, this is what I wanted, and I planned for a year at least, and I just put my head to it, and I thought of what I wanted. I took my time. I didn't rush. I planned it all out. I executed it, and now I'm living it, and sometimes I can't even believe it, you know? Like, I'm not even that well situated yet, and things are moving so fast, so it's just a pretty good feeling, you know? Because, you know, I've procrastinated a lot in the past with a lot of things, and you know, I'm pretty sure it was my environment. I was really comfortable. You know, the cold weather really like held me back, and there was a lot of other things. Maybe they were just excuses. But it's funny because, like, back when I was here, this environment used to hold me back, and then when I got to Maine, that environment was good for me for a while, and then it started to hold me back. And now that I'm back here, it seems like nothing's holding me back. It's such a weird revolving circle. It's crazy when you think about it. But anyways, very successful day. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I have tons and tons of more videos coming. I basically have been recording every day I go out, almost everything I do. So once again, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. It's late. I've been working all day, so I'm going to go get some rest. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.